And so part of your question was, do psychedelics make this possible in a way that other tools don't? And I think the answer is yes. So like going to the non-dual experience itself, there are various meditation traditions and practices and spiritual traditions that have teachings about non-duality. And, they say, well, you can spend like 40 years meditating and you might get a little glimpse of this. Or, you do this devotional practice for, the next 20 lifetimes and like maybe you'll get there somewhere. So just like the non-dual experience, it's very, very difficult for people to actually have that experience. Mostly, going back to something we were talking about earlier, is because the only way to have a non-dual experience is to transcend the ego. But the ego doesn't know how to transcend the ego. And so the ego tries all these methods to transcend the ego, but by engaging in those methods, it's reinforcing the ego because it's the ego that's doing that.
Yeah.
So it's this weird paradox. Like the only way you can have a non-dual experience is to not try. Like, oh, God, so then what do I do? It's like, well, fortunately, 5-MeO-DMT exists. And so here's a molecule that energetically interacts with your brain neurostructure to override the patterning of the ego, and therefore you have an ego transcendent experience and you experience non-duality directly. And, one of the things that makes me laugh, being in the psychedelic world is every once in a while you'll come across someone who will say, oh, well, I don't need psychedelics to have these experiences. I can get there on my own. I can do it on my own. And it's like such an egotistical statement for people to say that. And usually it's laughably incorrect. Meaning like if you took somebody like that and if you gave them like 7 grams of mushrooms, they'd probably be freaking out because they'd say, oh my God, I've never experienced anything like this before. And even working with 5-MeO-DMT, that I had worked with people who said, oh yeah, I've had a non-dual experience before, either through meditation or tantric practice or some kind of spontaneous experience. And of those who made those claims, I never once had someone then have a 5-MeO experience and say, oh yeah, I've had that experience before. It's always like, whoa, I now realize that my experience was nowhere near what I just experienced on 5-MeO-DMT. So I do think that psychedelics make certain levels of experience and transformation possible that I don't think actually are possible without psychedelics. And some people say, oh, well, then that's just cheating. And it's like, look, they exist within reality, so it's obviously not cheating because they exist. And that's how they interact with our neurochemistry. It's no more cheating than saying, well, I breathed air and I needed to breathe air in order to live, so I guess I cheated, or I needed to eat food, so I guess I was cheating. It's like, no, actually, sometimes we need to take in something from outside the physical body in order to, actually maximize what the body can do. Like, so try living out in space with no air and no food. Good luck. Let's do that all on your own and be really proud of yourself. So I think psychedelics are like that.